Starting this show off with a bang. Hey, speaking of, listen to this here. Let's see if you can.
I can't get a head bob in because it's on delay or something, and then the timing is never there. I got all the excuses.
And a billfold so swole that I can't get the shit closed. So I money fold.
What happened? Everything's freezing. Great.
There we go. All right. That's Starcade. You like that?
Is that the original music?
That's original, baby. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the greatest intro music that we have today.
that we have
today.
I'm actually in one of their videos. They got a video, couple videos out, really good videos. They do a lot of rap wrestling videos, so they do a lot of the old Crockett promotion stuff.
But when they do it, they talk so fast. What's that called? What are they doing?
It's rap.
Rap. Oh, their mouths going so fast, I can't even fucking think that fast. And they're going.
But you know what? Rap used to be slower back in the day.
Well, we got white.
A lot of people don't realize James Brown.
Yeah.
He the most sampled artist of all time. And a lot of the stuff you go and listen to James Brown. He had a well, they called it a song, but it was really a rap. It's called Heron.
It's called what?
And it's like 8 minutes of him just talking about heroin.
Oh, great. Well, I could have got a heroin education, been my first one.
I try to stay away from that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. I did take a couple aspirin, though, so what the hell, right?
Rip's not a big drug guy.
No, I like being in control of my faculties.
Or drinker. Tell him your last drinking story, Rip.
Well, the one I had here.
No, not the shot you did.
You mean
there wasn't even any alcohol in it.
Okay.
1986 or 84, whenever it was.
In Lexington.
Yeah, not me. Tell him.
Well, I drank immense quantities of fucking vodka with Hawaiian Punch when I'm playing cards in a fucking bar, right? Now all of a sudden I'm getting into the swing of things. It's Happy New Year, whatever. So I jump on the fucking bar and I'm posing. So that's cool, but I forgot to. I guess it slipped my mind that I'd pulled all my clothes off.
Oh my God.
So I'm up on the bar posing and swinging 3/4 back, most muscular, Frank Zane pose, Boyer Coe pose, do whatever, Mike Mincer doing all this shit. And then the cops come in, just shaking their goddamn head, Rip, get off the goddamn bar. I said, oh, fuck, I'm over.
I'm over. Hey,
they said, well, you could be in goddamn jail. I said, oh, fuck, what the hell, right? It's New Year's.
Every story that I've ever told, Rip, about me drinking leads to me going to jail.
Does it?
I'm not a drinker. I don't drink. Like hell, I almost went to jail at OVW. Because you remember when John Bradshaw and Ron Simmons came, they had that little trash can punch party, and with the 151 rum, and I put what's his name? I put Mike's head in the barricade and closed the bar. Like I opened. Yeah. See, that's the shit that happened when you get drunk in Mark Henry's stories. I started doing feats of strength.
Oh, that's awesome. That's your gimmick.
Putting humans' lives in jeopardy.
You gotta do stand-up to talk about that shit.
Oh my God.
Was that Mike Mondo?
Mondo. I put his head in the bicycle rack thing and then closed it back.
Holy
so
shit.
He couldn't get out.
Did you close it back more than it was to begin with, where he was choking and dying and everything?
No, he wasn't choking and dying, but we got a good laugh out of the fact that he couldn't move, and he had this big bike rack, and nobody else could open it up. And then finally, they said, "Hey, man, like you got to open this up and let him out." So we opened it up and let him out.
And what'd Ron Simmons say?
Damn.
Right on cue, baby.
Bradshaw said, "Somebody go get a crowbar," and Ron Simmons said, "That's your crowbar right there."
Yeah.
Poor Mondo.
Hey, but Mondo ended up being one of my favorite people down there. He was a hell of a worker. He was not afraid of failure, and that's the thing about pro wrestling. Everybody think it's about how good you are. It's not about how good you are. It's about how you are able to not worry about failing and look like an ass. If you can make yourself look like an ass and be comfortable with that, you're gonna succeed. But most people can't do that.
Yeah, I was a failure my whole life and laughed about it. Who gives a fuck?
Right, and that's why you were good though, and that whole philosophy on wrestling training is one of the things that I got from you. I've had like 5 trainers in my life, and all of my trainers are Hall of Fame caliber trainers. Like it's not like I ain't have a choice but to succeed. I was not willing to make a fool out of myself before I came to Louisville. When in 2000, when I came, I was still so serious about me being Mark Henry.
Right.
And,
you were normal.
Right. I was a normal person until I met I fucking meet Rip and Jim Cornette, and then they fucking made me weird. And so I went from being a wholesome boy to not giving a damn and trying to make myself not. Nick Dinsmore and Rob Conway I worked with a lot, and nobody on this planet was willing to make more of a fool of themselves than Nick Dinsmore. He could do the babyface thing all day long, but whenever Nick wanted to fuck around and play and just do wrestling, it wasn't hardly nobody better than him.
No, he was great.
And I hate that he didn't make it at the level that other people made it, but it don't diminish the fact that in my time at OVW, if I was going to have to, they say, oh, you got to pick one guy. And you had Randy Orton down there, you had Batista down there, you had Brock and Shelton, you had CM Punk down there, you had all of these great people that came to wrestling. I still would put Nick Dinsmore ahead of everybody because Nick was teaching everybody. Yeah, and he was bumping for everybody. Like his bump card had to be maxed out before he got to WWE, because I mean, we had all those. He had everybody 1 hour matches. Him and Rob Conway, they had everybody's matches. Everybody that graduated to the main class, they had to go wrestle Nick or Rob. And Rob was like, shit, man, I ain't bumping for them.
Yeah.
I mean, not that my opinion means much, but I always say that about Nick. And plus, I saw the other side because I was in like the amateur class. And even when Nick came back and he would wrestle all his students that had never had a match before, or I mean, he wrestled people with one leg, people that were deaf, people that had never been in the ring. And Nick could make anybody look like a star, man. He was just so good. I mean,
he had a match at practice one time with a broomstick.
I believe it. He was. And
put the damn broomstick over.
Yeah, but he used a couple shortcuts, you know.
Yeah,
he got cheap heat.
Hey, since you already, I tried to get this. I'm Mr. Technology too. I tried to get this to pull up on the computer, but I couldn't. But since you brought it up already about Rip basically ruining you when you came down to OVW,
I ruined him.
When he was just a normal guy coming down there. I pulled this off Renee. I saw you on the Renee Dupree show the other day. We do a lot with Renee here too. So I was. Maybe you can.
Our careers are almost kin because of who broke us in, who helped train us.
Can you hear that?
Because if I'm not mistaken, you started up in Calgary with the great Leo Burke.
Yes, I did. And Leo Burke was
we're getting there.
My second favorite coach
here we go.
of all time. Rip Rogers is
as crude and as awful a human being that Rip was, and weird, he's the best wrestling coach I ever saw because of the way that he got you to understand in layman's terms what he was saying.
Crude, awful, and weird. That's hell
Very
compliment,
good
Rip.
to describe Rip.
Well,
I stayed away from fucked up and crazy.
wow.
Would you like to elaborate on that at all?
You know what, man? Like to elaborate on it, like you in pro wrestling, you have to learn to put your filter away because you can't open your mind enough to understand what should happen if you're closed, if you closed up. Rip teaches you how to open up and not think about what you're doing right or what you're doing wrong, but what it takes to succeed in the moment. And people don't understand how fucking hard that is. Great actors, people, man. I saw this story about Sidney Poitier, and Sidney Poitier said that a lot of times after he did a movie role, he would have to go home to his family, like his mom, his dad, his cousins, people that he really loved, to remember who he really was.
Yeah.
You know how fucking crazy you got to take yourself to where I believe who I am. And then to say, you know what? Who was I before? I need to go back. Man, that's a level of understanding that I got from Rip. Like I realized that I was taking myself so serious that I wasn't allowing myself to be what I needed to be to succeed in the wrestling business. So that was like a eye-opening experience. And you know what? We all gonna leave this earth one day, and people will be talking about Rip 200 years after his death because of how many success stories came from his tree. We talk about the NFL and Bill Belichick and how he's got 20 coaches in the NFL that trained under him and this and that. Man, look at the people. We just mentioned Mike Mondo. Rip started with Mike Mondo his first day. Everything he learned from Rip. Golly,
Dinsmore for the most part.
I'm trying to think. What's my girl name, man? I can't. I'm drawing a blank. Serena.
Yeah.
Serena is one of the best female wrestlers on earth. Now, still, from the way that she moves, she and there's times I always call it the Rip Rogers attack, and Rip would do stuff, and then and every one of his wrestlers do it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's a level of understanding that you get from not thinking and just performing that you only get when you train like that. And some of it is crude. Like get the fuck out. Everybody will say when you meet a Rip Rogers person that trained with Rip, like Rip was really hard on you when, like, if I told you twice already to do this, get the fuck out. Give me two other people that know how to fucking listen. And you know, like that was hard, but it made you go, damn, I can't do that again. Fuck, I'm gonna get kicked out. So like now you owning the fact that you have to perform and not make mistakes, because mistakes can mean what Rip would say, life or death. I drop somebody on their head, I got him in a fucking stack suplex and I trip, he could die.
Yep.
So like penalizing people force you to do things in a more correct manner. So like him and Dory Funk were the most disciplined coaches I had. Now Leo punched me in the nose because I punched somebody in the nose. See how you fucking like it. Like it was different. Tom Pritchard, fundamentals. Hey, we're gonna drop down, leapfrog, get it again. Like we did reps and reps and reps. Like everybody's style of coaching was different that I had.
So you're talking about getting the fuck out of the ring. Did you ever get the ding, get the fuck out? I've asked everybody.
My God. Like, man, I wish I don't even want to count that high. It's embarrassing.
Mickey James said she got it once, but blamed it on Mondo. That's why I said poor Mondo earlier. She threw Mondo under the bus.
That's the heat.
Said it was Mondo's fault.
Oh my God. I got it a few times. Shit. Mainly because I was out of shape. Once I got in shape, I was fine. Because that's another thing in wrestling. When you out of shape, you start to forget everything. When you out of shape, you tend to take shortcuts. And Rip didn't like that shit very much. So, we went through about 2 months of never getting in the ring, punching and kicking and, doing up downs and grape squishers and grabbing somebody and doing lockup around the ring for fucking 5 minutes. And
all the chain and
all the chain stuff. Like, man, that stuff, man, Rip would put garbage cans on both sides of the ring. It wasn't a question of if you was going to throw up, but when.
New guys were 10 minutes usually.
Man, I knew I was over as fuck. When I got about 3 months or 4 months in and I could get in the ring and go 30 minutes and not worry about whether I was going to fuck up or not, I was good. I said, man, I'm good now. I'm ready. Give me a shot. And shit, I dropped 88 pounds.
Holy shit.
88 pounds. Every Friday I weighed in. And every week, the whole time that I was there for 10 months, I lost weight. I never had a week where I gained.
Wow.
So and that was by the conditioning and training, as well as Rip was like, hey, you already strong enough. Why the fuck you going to the gym and lifting heavy weights? Like, stop doing that. Like, you ain't a lifter no more. And nobody had told me that before. Like, my identity as being the strongest man in the world, I wanted to keep that. But in wrestling, I had to let it go because the focus was on me being a better wrestler, not the strongest man in the world. They was going to say I was the strongest man in the world, whether I was or not.
Yep.
That was Rip. Rip was like, you know that they can say that you're a goddamn fairy and you can fly and sprinkle dust on people. Why are you trying to do that still? You come to practice tired and hurt already. Like, you need to focus on this. So that was my eye opening. Sometimes you got to take lessons hard. People got to be completely honest. And as weird as Rip is with the stories that he tells about Puerto Rico and the packing and all of that shit, like he was the best at getting the most out of you. And a lot of people hate on those people. They don't like it to be told no. They don't like to be told you're fucking rotten. You need to do better. Like people don't like that.
Right.
But I was an athlete. So I came
through it.
Hard coaching.
Yeah.
My coaches used to browbeat the shit out of me all the time. Terry Tide too. Yeah. Like, so why you look tired. What time did you go to bed? Probably about 10:30, 11. You're not fucking lying. You know you went to bed at 2. You're out with some scantily clad ring rat. I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah.
You know you out chasing bitches.
Go to bed. Like, you got to train, So my coaches were always hard on me.
Let's rewind just a little bit then. So when you first got the word you were going down to OVW, what did you think of that in the first place? And then did you know you were going to to get trained by Rip? Did you know about Rip? Anything about Rip?
I didn't know. Well, I got banished to Canada. So I was in Canada training with Leo Burke. And I told Leo, hey, the WWE called me and told me they want me to go to Louisville, so I'm leaving tomorrow. And he was like, well, I'm glad they called me and told me. And I was like, well, I'm in shit, man.
Oh, what year was this? Was this?
That was 99.
Okay.
So in 99, I leave Canada and I come to Louisville just as it turns 2000. And that was my first stint there. And, I get down there, and as good as I was training with Brett and them and Leo, my conditioning still was not like what it needed to be, and especially in Rip Eyes. And then I got in there, man, and I was 402, 405 or something like that. And I ended up getting down to 317.
Wow.
So like it was a lot of fucking work done that year. And like Vaughn, I don't know if you remember, like you had to do a Broadway. Did you have to do a Broadway?
Oh yeah. I never did the hour one. I always put my head down and turned it and told him I wouldn't drive him to OVW anymore if he ever made me do the hour Broadway. But
oh well, fuck! I didn't know that was an option.
Well, you didn't drive him.
So I had to do a Broadway with Flash Flanagan, and I kept saying, man, I'm not going to be able to wrestle an hour. I can't do it. Well, if you fucking think you can't do it, then you can't do it. Like, if you're a pussy, yeah, so you just ripped me to shreds. And finally, I was just like, all right, I'm going to do it. And, man, like 20 minutes went by, 30 minutes went by. I'm falling. I'm getting down. I'm trying to do 10 covers just to get time in. And I get down on one knee and I was like, I'm done. And he was like, no, you're not. Get your ass up, you fat bastard. And I got up and man, I got to 41 minutes, man. And I finally just said, I can't breathe. I had to go stand outside. And I probably stayed outside for like 40 minutes, an hour, just trying to catch my breath, man. I was on the brink of a heart attack. But I had a level of confidence from that day of being in the ring. And even when I started to hold on to the ropes, and it was like, keep moving, just walk, just move, just do something. It's like when you can push yourself to those limits, like you just can't help but be good. And they don't train like that no more.
No, yeah.
Like wrestlers don't, people will go to HR on you if you trained them like that.
Well, people went to HR on Rip, I think, back in the day too. But
Rip got fired more times than Ric Flair retired.
What did you think about that? Did you ever know of any people like telling on Rip or complaining about Rip or?
No, I just heard the stories. Like it was very entertaining. Like Bradshaw and Ron came to knock the rust off in like 2003 or something like that. Because I came back from injury in 2003.
Yep.
I was in Louisville again for my second stint. And just knocking the rust off, getting ready to go back to work again. And Ron and them came down there and they stopped at KFC. And when, they were trying to diet down a little bit, so they wasn't eating the skin on the chicken. And so they throwing all this skin in one of the boxes and they eating the chicken. And Rip goes,
give me that skin.
Hey, what the fuck are y'all doing? And they was like, man, we're trying to lose weight. And he was like, well, fuck, maybe you shouldn't eat fried chicken. And then he said, you gonna throw that away? And I remember seeing Ron look at John like, Yeah, like what? I mean, what else are we gonna do with it? He's like, give me that. And Rip start eating the skin. He pulls a piece of skin out of the box and goes, ah. And I remember it was like maybe 3 years later, and we were on the road hard, the 22 days in a row type schedule.
Oh God.
And Bradshaw was telling that story to about 20 people.
That's awesome.
And I was like, the fucking Rip Rogers legacy lives on. Like, that's the thing. Like, and all of his students, they drove him somewhere. They went to the what's the name of the Golden Corral? So what? Any kind of buffet where you can get a Ziploc bag and put food in and take it with you.
Yeah,
when you're not supposed to. That's Rip.
Yeah,
and everybody's gonna tell them stories forever.
Speaking of, I remember, I think you were there because it was when Rip kind of quit eating at all, and people were bringing him like nothing but protein bars.
Protein bars.
And then he collapsed or whatever at practice, and I think you maybe went to the hospital or something. You were there, down there, I think.
Yeah, I was there.
I was in that class for a while, and Rip would eat nothing but protein bars, and then finally just like had I don't know, what'd you do? Just collapsed or something?
But like I said, Rip is a very weird and different individual. And just the thought of that, you know what, man? I'm not going to eat food no more. Who the hell thinks like that?
I went 150 days. Now I had chicken. I had a can of Campbell's noodle soup, or just the broth, right? 1 glass of orange juice and 1 glass of skim milk and water, and that was it for 150 days. Went 232 to 169.
Jeez.
Hey, after 3 days, there's no hunger at all.
That's bullshit.
Well, it worked. I just wanted to see how I could push myself.
So he rubbed off on John Cena too. So John Cena decided that he was going to not eat food.
Oh, really?
And he would only drink protein shakes and bars and Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew.
Okay.
And his ass collapsed too.
No shit.
Yeah.
Now, was there an actual Rip Rogers reference on that, or he just did it?
No, he said it. I think John said that fuck, if Rip could do it, I could do it too. And I'm like, I don't know.
He's too sane.
If Rip can collapse, I can collapse too.
He's too nice and sane. I'm out there, so what the hell? You know what's so funny, Mark, is here you are looking at you, and I wanted to take you, the world's strongest man. And you know how every match is fucking bullshit, where everybody has to get their fucking 5 signature moves in. Fuck you. You would beat a guy on a tie-up. If you grab a headlock, he'd give up. No matter what hold you grabbed, he would give up. And you shove somebody. Just think if you could have got on TV for a year and every match was like 40 seconds or whatever. And no matter what hold you grab, the audience would just explode. Oh my God. How simple. Well, he's the world's goddamn strongest motherfucking man. What the fuck do you expect? God damn. You'd have been, Jesus, what a fucking rocket ship up on your fucking ass, riding that son of a bitch to the goddamn fucking top.
Yeah, I mean,
said, well, go ahead.
Before there was a Goldberg, like that's the philosophy that even you and Danny, I remember you and Danny saying that, like, you don't need to wrestle like everybody else. Like, everybody know you as the strongest man. Like, if somebody throw a punch, you should be able to catch that and squeeze their damn hand till they go to their knees and just quit. Just keep just squeeze. Like, and I had a bunch of matches like that. Like, when I got to WWE, I finally refined it because I didn't have 1 or 2 tricks. I had about 20. And that's the thing. Like I value, and Jim Cornette, like got pissed at me because there was videos that surfaced of him saying the N-word, and I guess I didn't come to his aid enough for him and Sin, because they've Sin has sent me messages on social media before, like, why didn't you defend Jim and this and that? And listen, I defended him. But the one thing that I'm not ever going to make an apology for being a black dude is it's okay to say shit that you shouldn't say. And the whole promo that he did anyway was some shit that Robbie Dix had said. Robbie Dix was the one, you rather drive your ass through Africa with a wheelbarrow full of fried chicken than mess with me. That was Robbie Dix that said that. Jim shouldn't have said that, because you repeating something that some black dude said. That, not saying that it's okay for black people to say dumb shit, because there's been a lot of black folks that said the N-word around me, and I was like, don't talk like that around me. And they'd be like, what? And I was like, you heard what you said. I ain't stutter. And like, I got a lot of love and respect for Jim, because Jim was the one that handed me those pamphlets on the 60s, on the 70s, the 80s. Like, he's like, man, you need to learn the history of wrestling. You too much of a mark. Like, you grew up watching Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan. That ain't where wrestling started.
Right.
And like, I respect the shit out of him, but I wasn't gonna dummy myself down and accept bullshit or say something that wasn't true. Or I never said that Jim was a racist. I never said that. That was what people's impression of him was, because of those two things that was on the internet. I didn't say it.
Right.
So, I felt like I got unnecessary heat. Man, I'd love to be able to talk to Jim Cornette again. But like, I've done all the apologizing I'm gonna do. Like, other people got to come to their own conclusions. But the whole point of the conversation was, I learned a lot from the history of wrestling because of Jim. And that was all a byproduct of being down there in Louisville. And man, like, a lot of people don't know that one of the greatest African-American wrestlers of all time, man, he was born and lived in Louisville. And, he was the original Black Panther, Jim Mitchell. And Jim Mitchell was the guy that broke the color barrier. He was the guy that, they say Bobo Brazil did it, but that's because WWF were the victors. They got to tell the story. When it comes to history,
whoever wins determines history.
Gets to tell it the way they wanted to tell it.
That's right.
And that's what Vince Sr. did. But Jim Mitchell wrestled Gorgeous George in the Coliseum in Los Angeles long before Bobo Brazil. He was wrestling white wrestlers in Australia and Mexico and Canada long before Bobo Brazil was traveling internationally. But nobody knows who Jim Mitchell was. An educated man too. He was in the military. Like, he went, I think it was 1941 or 42. Like, he was abroad serving during wartime. Wow. And did all of the organizing, conditioning, calisthenics, and all of the stuff to help people get physically right, keep their mind strong. Like, man, that's an incredible deal. And you know, like I just felt like he don't get enough recognition. But I wouldn't have knew none of that shit if I wouldn't have been in Louisville.
Right.
You know, so like yeah, I value what I learned from Danny Davis and Jim Cornette and Rip. Like Louisville like saved my career. Otherwise I probably would have went back to playing football.
I guess I didn't realize you went there in, what'd you say, 2000 or?
Yeah.
So when did you debut on WWE TV or FTV or whatever it was?
96.
And you wrestled, but it wasn't all just your
man. I had wrestled and been Mr. USA, the Olympian, all of that.
Right. Okay.
I had
then you went to Leo Burke after that?
After that,
okay,
I went to the Nation. I mean, I went to I joined the Nation and had that whole stint. And then I did the sexual chocolate gimmick. And then it was like, you know, I had people fucking with me. And during that time, I was not acclimated to the locker room. Like, you know, I heard a lot of wrestlers' careers end before it started because they just couldn't handle the locker room. And I was one of those. Like, you know, I'd rather fight and call people outside and stuff, all that dumb shit. But that was because that's the way I was raised, and I didn't know that wrestling was different. And you know, I had to go to Canada. They ribbed a lot in Canada, but in Canada it was like, oh, I'm gonna glue your shoes to the ground, or I'm gonna put all your clothes in a garbage bag and throw them in the shower and turn all the showers on. You know, like harmless shit that it wasn't gonna kill you. Yeah. But like, you know, people was like trying to put shit in people's food boxes at WWE, like shit that could damage you, that could kill you. And you know, that was The Rock, like somebody shit in one of his food boxes or whatever.
Jesus.
But anyway, I learned how to coexist, and then I came to Louisville, and it was like a master's class. It was like, you know, really learning how the finer art of how to live in a locker room, how to deal with this, how to deal with that. And I was exposed to stuff that you weren't gonna get exposed to at the big time. Like when you get to the big time, you should already know all that shit.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so yeah, man, I thank God I went to Louisville. That was the best thing that ever happened to me.
When I was teaching, I looked it upon. I was Sergeant Carter, trying to help Gomer Pyle survive. He might get shipped to Vietnam, and he has to know how to defend himself, be able to handle any situation, because you were all newborn babies being thrust, instead of 10 years working the territories, having 3,000 matches, then your time for your big break, because now you know almost everything. You're out here, a babe in swaddling clothes. Then all of a sudden, you're trained a little bit, and they're going to throw you against the top guys in the world who have got years and years of experience. They had probably worked so many territories. They knew every manipulative ploy there was. And here you are coming in, and you're going to take their job or one of their buddies' jobs. So they're going to half-ass or full-ass try and sabotage your ass.
Oh, my God. Man, I had at least 5 or 6 times where people were like, man, I'm going to expose the shit out of him. I'm going to blow him up. And then I'm going to do that. And that they did. Like I had some shitty matches because I was blown up or I just didn't know what to do next. And like, why would you do that? It seemed like you would try to make somebody better. But I had no clue that other people didn't have guaranteed contracts. I mean, obviously now I'm blessed. I've been around a lot of educated people my whole life. So For me to say that I'm exposed is an understatement, and that I have a brain is another thing. I used to try to hide the fact that I was smart because I was around so many dumbasses that I felt like I was, being uppity,
Yeah.
and that was something that when I got to Louisville, they were like glad that I found my way in the city. Man, I was working with St. Jude's. We raised $40,000 for St. Jude's when I was at Ohio Valley. Like Ohio Valley was on the news because of me, because I knew how to do shit that they weren't doing.
Right.
And the fact that, this is Mark Henry, he's somebody, and I go to a children's deal downtown on Broadway, and the news shows up, and I end up on the news again, nothing to do with wrestling.
Right.
That was a good look for Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Sure was.
That's awesome.
So it was like when I started doing it, now everybody else starts to do it. So it just was a good it was a good thing for the whole world of wrestling. And now that's commonplace. Everybody tries to do community service. Everybody not because you want attention for wrestling, but you want attention for wrestling. You do it because it's the right thing to do. And, I competed in the policeman, fireman games. And I just, I was the parade marshal for the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
You know how many people get to do that shit? Not many.
That's cool.
So it's like I was doing stuff that was not even thought about. Like, oh, man, they want you to be the parade marshal of the Derby? Like,
we're over.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You was way over.
Hey, if anybody's got any super chat questions, we got the chat open. I can't go through all the stuff. I see a lot of comments and everything in there, but I'm not going to go through every one of those questions. But if anybody's got any super chats, we'll take some super chat questions from Mark Henry here, the world's strongest man, of course. Hey, when you were in the WWE there in the beginning, when you did have a lot of heat, not heat maybe backstage, but or maybe some people, the guaranteed contract you mentioned like that. Was there anybody that kind of like stood up for you and tried to help you out? And do you have anybody that was really trying to show you the ropes a little bit?
There were people that did help me that, Brooklyn Brawler was always, very nice and tried to help me. Pat Patterson was trying to help me. But it was people that weren't in the ring.
Yeah.
Like it was Jimmy Miranda and Mark Yaton and, like the people that work for the company. They were like, hey, man, don't do this. Like, that they trying to get you to bite, man. Don't do it. Like, no sell it. Just stupid shit. Like, but once I met D-Lo and Brian Christopher, they were like, hey, man, let's just go get in the ring and wrestle around and do stuff, so I had some allies. Glenn Jacobs, was good to me. And then once the Undertaker met me, it made him laugh that how much like the people that they had issues with, I had issues with too. And I'm talking about like the clique people or whatever.
Yeah.
And I wasn't taking no shit off nobody. and I'm gonna tell you a funny ass story. This is the level of ignorance that I had. Godfather, Rikishi, Yoko, Undertaker, the BSK guys. It was very cliquey in wrestling back then. Everybody had their groups.
Yep.
And I'm walking down the hallway and Godfather sees me and goes, damn, look at this big old baby face. And I was like, I ain't no fucking baby face. Don't call me that. And I kept walking and Undertaker popped so fucking huge. And he was like, oh shit. Like, I had zero fucks to give if you said something that I felt like was derogatory. I didn't know what a babyface was. I thought Godfather was, trying to be funny.
Uh-huh.
That's
And
wild.
for me to stand up to him, Taker came to me later on that day and said, "Hey man, he was paying you a compliment. He was saying that when you smile, like the fucking room light up, and that you with your size and the ability to smile and do that is gonna make you're gonna be a great baby face one day." And I was like, what is a baby face? And then so that's the level of not understanding that I had, is why I had so many problems, because I was a wrestling fan, not a wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, going in without basically any experience and just being thrown into the WWF locker room, that's pretty tough, I would say.
Pretty damn hard, man. And that was the highest place in the land, the wrestling.
Yeah.
And to go in there, and I made more money than most of the guys that were on top.
Right,
like
yeah.
there was a lot of jealousy and hatred. And I mean, what can you do? Like,
what was that like though? Like making all that money early. Did you have any idea
I wasn't spending it.
Ever gonna get into wrestling though? I mean, did this come out of nowhere? And did you have any
Completely out
doubts
of
about
nowhere.
going into it?
It came completely out of nowhere. Like, I was a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And when I was on Oprah and I was on all these shows and I talked about wrestling, that was what I loved to do.
Yeah.
I wrestling and playing video games. That's all I did. I wasn't going to clubs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I was the most boring ass heel that you ever seen in your life. And to have somebody intentionally try to hate on you, I thought was really counterproductive. And I think it was Glenn Jacobs that told me, he was like, "Hey man, you were trying to explain something to somebody the other day." He said, "You do realize that everything you were saying, they didn't know what the hell you were talking about." And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was speaking English. And he's like, "Man, they weren't trying to hear you talk about investments and rental properties." It's like, them guys don't have 2 dimes to rub together. He's like, "Just keep all that help shit to yourself, because it's going to make you come across as elitist."
Right.
So I didn't realize that me trying to be smart and help other people was making me look bad too. Man, I'm telling you, wrestling is a fucked up business, man.
Hey, now this is funny, Mark. When I was about 30 years old, Bob Roop, who was an Olympian, Greco-Roman, United States, 1968, we was working for Ole, and he said, "Rip, how old are you?" I said, "I'm 30. He says, "Well, you really got this business down." I said, "Well, I had guys like you and Malenko and Ronnie Garvin and Randy and everybody and Pez helped me with everything, and Bob Orton Jr. And he said, but he said, and you're doing booking stuff too." He said, what you're doing is you're getting a lot of heat on you for being good." I said, "Oh, okay." So I said, "I'll just start acting like more of a character and more of a goof 24 hours a day, and people won't feel threatened or whatever." He said, "Yeah, a lot of these guys are 48, 50 years old. You might take their job."
Right. And don't own a house.
Right. And I'm sitting there going, "Well, okay, I'll just work on being a goof." So that's what I've done ever since then, trying to be as goofy as fucking possible and help other guys, because you're walking into a landmines out there, baby. It's just, you've got, everybody wants to, as soon as you walk in, and here's what I would tell people. I said, "Look, if you just got signed and you're Puerto Rican, every other Puerto Rican hates you. If you're a black guy, and every black guy basically at first sight hates you, you might take their job. Whether you're a white American babyface, Johnny Italian, or whatever it is, you're like a football team. We don't carry 10 quarterbacks on the team. We don't carry 10 tight ends, 10 left tackles. We got so many numbers of what the so-called computer kicks out or whatever of how many guys we're supposed to be fucking having. And I said, oh, man. I said, there's so much shit involved in this. When babies come in, I just shake my head because they don't understand how hard it is to make it. And you have to fail and fail and fail and fail at everything. But first, we got to get you in ring shape so you can think. So you can work and do all this shit without having to think about it. So I
wasn't there.
Right. It's just
I wasn't there.
You're a normal athlete superstar coming into a carny world. And no matter anybody, well, they want to get on the carny. No, the carnies knew how to work. They knew how to get over. They knew how to keep longevity. And my job is to take care of you as best as I can, warn you of all the things that's going to happen, but you're not going to believe me. Till years later, you come back. I said, what happened? Well, it was just like you said.
Yeah.
And you just sort of chuckle because you have to experience in yourself. Said, oh, I remember. I heard about that 30 years ago, and I just thought it was bullshit. No, I ain't got no reason to bullshit you. I'm trying to help you because everybody is against you. Everybody smiles to your face. Oh, look at that motherfucker. He's the world's strongest goddamn man. Fucking Olympian, son of a bitch, motherfucker. I hate that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right.
I wish I'd have had that as my theme music. The OJs had a song called Backstabbers.
Uh-huh.
And they smile in your face all the time. They want to take your place.
Oh, hell yeah.
Backstabbers. That would have been the best wrestling music ever.
Hey, we do have a super chat question. You were talking about being a fan growing up. Who did you watch growing up? What territory did you watch? Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Look on my wall. Look on my wall.
I see Junkyard Dog, Jake the Snake. Is that
Ted
DiBiase?
DiBiase?
Yeah.
Man, I was a Mid-South kid. Like I like Mid-South better than I like Paul Bosch. I liked it better than the Von Erichs. Even though once I got older, I started liking the Von Erichs better because, like, man, them and the Freebirds, that shit was, it was perfect. I got exposed to WWF probably about 1988, 1989. And like Andre was, bro, like that. Andre became my favorite because I had never seen nobody love on the big guy. Ain't that crazy? You go your whole life. The only two people got love as big guys. Fat Albert from the Cosby Kids and Andre the Giant. Oh, those were the only two big guys that used to get love.
Hey, speaking of, that leads right into this next question. Will wrestling ever have true monsters again, like huge guys that don't do flips and stuff?
Oh,
just think, like, I remember in that class down when you went to OVW. It was like Big Bad John, I remember, was down there. Horseshoe. I think Nathan Jones came down there for a while. You were down there. Matt Morgan, I think. It was just all these huge
Big Show.
Big Show, yeah. Just monsters, man, everywhere.
You know what? I think it could be that way again. It's just that the fragile egos of the smaller guys, you have to protect the smaller guy, and that just comes from great booking and great talent organization. Because everybody's not going to be over at the same time. and you have to teach people, hey, you're going to get your turn. But right now, don't walk to the ring with the boo-boo face because you're not going over. Everybody already knows what the fucking match is going to be because of how you look. So, like, wrestling has got to evolve a little bit more. The bookers, they want all the talent. There's a lot of time that, you know, wrestlers now are like, well, shit, I'm going to take my ball and go home. But that was always the case. When it was territories, guys would be like, man, I'm going to work here 6 months, and then I'm out of here. I'm going to go work somewhere else.
Right.
And now it's not like that. So you have to cycle the talent. Okay, during this cycle, we're going to have these 4 guys over, and this is the way it's going to go. And then we're going to cycle again another 6 months. And then we're going to have – then if you stick to that plan, you're fine. But a lot of the bookers don't want to do that because the talent are running the show.
Speaking of big men, was there anybody ever that you were, I don't want to use the word scared. I don't think you'd be scared of anybody, but leery maybe to get in the ring with, or like, oh shit, I just don't know about nobody?
No, I respected Ron Simmons as a man to the extent of it's like your father. Like, you don't want to fight your father.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like Ron was the only one that was, I would never fight Ron Simmons. I remember one time I was eyeballing him. You know, like I always look for a weakness. And I know that sounds crazy. I'm like Batman. I want a contingency plan.
I'm talking about in the ring now, not real fighting, but.
Well, I'm talking about in the ring and outside the ring.
Okay. All right. And
that's just the way I was raised, bro. I can't go against my DNA. And I was looking at Ron, and Ron was combing his hair, and he turned, he saw me looking, you eyeballing me? And I said, no. What are you talking about? He said, you've been staring at me for like 5 minutes. And I was like, for real? Like, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how respected he was. It wasn't that I was like, oh, I would kick him in the knees. I would try to choke him. I wasn't thinking nothing like that. I was thinking, wow, this is Ron Simmons. You know, just having a mark out moment. And and he called me out. And I was like, no, man. I was like, I'm sitting here in awe. Like, and that's a God's honest truth. But I just respected the hell out of him. He was in the dictionary under man, they should have a picture of Ron Simmons.
In WCW, Ron was working, and everybody was scared to death of him because he showed no emotion all the time, right? And he was just sitting and standing there. So I had to go work with him to show everybody that he wouldn't hurt you. So I worked with him then, and then they said, "Oh, you did such a good job. Now work with Vader."
Oh,
I said, "Okay." I didn't have one problem at all with Vader. Thank you very much. I said, no, don't do this and don't do that. You're doing too much, and I got to get up. You're a fucking freak. Let's treat you like a freak. Less is more. I will sell anything, oversell it. Do not do too much for me. You'll fucking turn me if I start selling like a goddamn babyface.
Right.
But this business has got so many things that nobody thinks about because you have to fail. And you have to learn that the guy says, oh, I want to get this in. I said, you can't get that. And stop covering him. He's going to kick out. You're making your big shit look weak. Do not do that. But when you start in a business, you got your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, your 50. And then all of a sudden you look back, and the way you thought wrestling was, it's completely the opposite of what you thought it was. All the stuff you marked out at the 5 and even 10, 15-year mark, you realize it's all fucking bullshit. And then when you finally learn how to do it, then they get rid of you.
Yeah. Okay, you taught enough people now to do what we want them to do. Okay, we don't need you no more.
Yeah. Oh wow. But I'm here to plug the super chats. I got Mark Henry telling stories. He needs some questions here for the super chats. Y'all got on here to hear Mark Henry and you want to hear some questions. So super chats, let's get at it, baby. You got the great Mark Henry here. I don't even want to talk about the Thomas Inch dumbbell. I don't want to talk about him being the world's strongest man. I don't want to talk about him being powerlifting champion, the Olympic lifting and people, you don't even know how to look at this. We got a guy doing who does powerlifting and Olympic lifting? It's totally different. It's night and day.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, ask Mark questions. We need questions from Mark Henry on the super chat.
Rip, you bring up the inch bell, and I'll do a brief understanding of what that is. The Thomas Inch unliftable dumbbell was a dumbbell in the turn of the century, 1902, where Thomas Inch would get the New York phone book.
Mm-hmm.
And the New York phone book, biggest phone book in the world probably at that time.
He'd rip that son.
It was about 2 or 3 inches tall.
Uh-huh.
And it went to a phone book after it went to the wooden blocks or whatever that they used to carry it on.
Yeah.
But the whole point is, if you can lift it on and put it on top of that box, then you would get a nickel. And shit, a nickel was like $5 back then. So that was a lot of money. You could feed your family on that. And so, of course, Thomas Inch made a lot of scratch. You talked about the carny world of knowing how to make money and not have to do anything to do. All he had to do was lift it one time, put it down. People go, oh, shit, that was incredible. And now they want to try it.
Right.
So it was called the unliftable for close to 90 years before I saw it and got exposed to it in 2002. And I was told that, nobody had ever lifted it overhead, that, it just wasn't designed to do that. And I said, well, I'm going to do it. It might take me a year, but I'm going to do it. And I trained for about 10 months and gathered the old time Strongman Barbell Association dinner. And I said, I'm going to do it there. And I did. And, I still, to this day, nobody has lifted it overhead like I lifted it. And I'm proud of that, but that was not my favorite strongman feat.
So you did it.
Yeah.
Did it take you multiple times, or it was just?
Well, I mean, I missed, probably 30 or 40 times.
But you did it. That's awesome, man.
And once I realized the technique that I needed to do it, then I could do it every time. But the lift that I think was the people have to go on the internet and look up the Arnold Classic 2002 and see me lift the Apollon wheels.
Holy shit, I forgot about the Apollon wheels.
Like Adolf Apollon, I think had even more respect in the lifting world than Thomas Inch. And there were thousands of strongmen that tried to lift the barbell. Now, and only 2 people in history had ever lifted it.
Now the Apollon wheels was like railroad type. Yeah.
It was a train axle.
Louis UNI. Now I haven't even thought about this stuff in 50 years, right?
Yeah.
And he had that huge forearm. Jesus Christ, he had a forearm on him.
Yeah.
Shit,
and that was from all of that heavy, that's all of the curling and grip work that he used to do. And it was funny, Rip. The reason that I had the grip that I had was because it was like an accident. Like I had, remember those concrete weights, that DP for life weights that people used to have in the 70s?
I had I had the Sears weights what was concrete inside of them.
Right.
That's what I had.
With the plastic coating on that.
Yes, that was him.
So I broke them all to shit.
Uh-huh.
And I said, damn, I need some weights that's not gonna break like this. So I started getting the gear shifters out of cars and dipping those in concrete because they were steel and they had the hole in them already. Like if you pull a tire off and you get the brake, the whole part of the axle right there, and we would get those and screw them off and dip them in concrete till they was a certain weight, and then that's what we would lift on our benches and on our. So my back got strong from doing good mornings because that was the only way that I could do a squat is if I got under the bench and lifted up and then start doing my squat. So that was an accident. The same thing with grip. Like a lot of times when I worked out by myself, if my brother wasn't there, I would have to hold the bar and be able to lift the weight up and put it on the bar because you couldn't hold it. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I did grip work every day. It was like the old karate movies. You see the karate, the guys, they carrying the buckets of water with the knives and shit. You know, like I was doing stuff that was, it was building me up, but I didn't know I was building myself up. But if you go and look up that Apollon Wheels, then you'll see like a true indicator of strength and power because Norbert Szymanski and John Davis were the only two people that had ever lifted the Apollon's wheel. And I said that I was going to lift it. And of course, they said Adolf Apollon lifted it, but there was no footage of him lifting it.
Yeah.
So it was like, I said, well, I'm going to lift it one time for everybody that ever lifted it. And that was the difference between me and other folks. Like when I competed, I couldn't, the people that was in the competition with me, they was there for window dressing.
Right.
Because I was competing against ghosts. I was competing against dead people in records. And when I went to the Arnold, my mother had just died. And Rip know how much I was a mama's boy. So I was fired the fuck up. You hear me? Like there was nothing that was going to stop me from winning that competition and honoring my mom. Not to mention Vince McMahon had told me that if I lost, that I was going to get fired. So like it was, I had every incentive to go in there and dominate that competition. But if you go online and you look up and you see my face, I was bulletproof that day. It wasn't nothing that could have killed me.
You said that was 2002, the Arnold?
It was 2002. You go on YouTube.
One? Was that the first one of that?
That was the first one.
So you won the first one.
Yeah. And the heaviest. Like the stuff was geared towards being heavy, no straps. Like, you know, now they use straps in the World's Strongest Man. You couldn't wrap the leather around stuff to help with your grip. You had either had it or you didn't.
Now John Davis, when he did the Apollon wheels, he used a thumbless grip, didn't he?
I think he did. He did a reversal, like a overhand, underhand.
It was totally different.
And then he would pull it and let his head go and catch it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that was basically the same technique I used, except I used both overhand grips. And people were like, well, how did you keep it from rotating? And I was like, that's an ancient Chinese secret. I ain't telling you. If I tell you, everybody
you got me thinking about names I haven't thought about in decades. Next, you're going to throw out
because you were a lifter,
a Leonard Zott. You're going to show me the Bob Bednarski, the Joe Bednarskis, all the guys.
You know he's a school teacher here.
Who's that?
Bednarski. Ivan Putski.
Putski is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He's a school teacher here in Austin.
Wow. Hey, I got to ask you about the grip. I got two buddies that think they've got the strongest grip in the world, and we go on this trip every year, and they bring this little grip machine that like measures your grip, and I'm always basically last. And have you ever been measured on your grip? Any machine or anything that you know of? You
Yes.
ever won any grip contest? Anything that you could give me on that?
You know what? I never really competed in the contest because it was a foregone conclusion that everybody knew I had the strongest grip in the world. Have you seen the grippers, the metal grippers?
That's what I'm talking about. I think that spits out a number.
I'm the only person in history to close the number 4 gripper, not only overhand, but turn it upside down and was able to close it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've done it. I did it with both hands. And Dennis Rogers, you can Google him. They call him Mighty Mike or the Grand Master of Strongman. He was the one that judged it and saw me do it.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? Like Dennis was like one of my grip coaches for a while. And he goes back to Slim the Hammerman and the Mighty Atom and all of these historically great strongmen that Rip would know who they are.
Mighty Atom.
So you're pretty sure you
shit.
could beat my buddies then?
Oh, even now. No, mere mortals can't compete against gods.
That is awesome.
When I was 14, I got the Joe Weider grip thing. It had like 5 springs in it, and would do that. And then the $9.99, the Twisto Flex.
I remember those.
You get them all out of the
Rolling Thunder,
the wrestling magazine. Of course, they had the gimmick karate things and the secret guy from Japan with the mask on. I had all shit. I had the Charles Atlas course that come out. I waited until it was $5. They kept sending me stuff.
They got my ass too, Rip. They got
I finally got it for $5, but then 2 weeks later they sent me another one. I could have got it for $3.
Oh my God, I bought all that stuff.
I still do the Charles Atlas shit. All this is isometrics and stuff, push-ups between chairs, the free squats, all that shit.
Oh my God, we got another super question.
Let's knock out a couple questions here real quick. Widowmaker says, Matt, I don't know if you have an opinion on this or not. What is Mark thinking about the breakup between Jim Cornette and Kenny Bolin?
Man, I have no idea what that is. No, I don't know. But Kenny Bolin reached out to me on social media the other day, congratulating my son and telling him good luck. I don't even know if Kenny is he still in America? I thought he was living in Thailand at one point.
He just does a lot for the Thailand kids. I don't know, man. I think he is in Louisville still, I believe. That town outside of
wherever it is.
Yeah, him and Cornette had a falling out, I guess. They don't speak and
that's their business, man. I don't get in other people's business.
Hey, who matched up with your strength in the ring? Anybody match up with you strength-wise in the ring? Obviously, you're the world's strongest man, so.
You know what? I cannot say that anybody did, but there has been some really, really strong people in wrestling throughout history.
Give us a couple of the strong people.
I think that Brock Lesnar and John Cena and Big Show are probably the top 3. And then people that they were better lifters of weights than lifters of men.
Yeah.
Bravo, Ted Arcidi, they were weightlifters, powerlifters. They weren't, I don't think, great enough wrestlers. Who was strong as shit was Doug Furnace.
Oh yeah.
Doug Furnace was strong as shit. I saw him do an 800-pound squat. And I think a near 800-pound deadlift. So that's pretty damn strong.
You had to wrestle Brock, right?
Oh yeah, a ton of times.
What was that? What were those like? What was he like in the ring?
You know what? You always felt safe when you were somebody that can handle your weight.
Yeah.
And you weren't fearful of somebody dropping you. Goldberg was strong, but Goldberg was more explosive than just strong. He was athletic and strong, which made for an easy time too.
Rip's got one of Rip's long lost sons here, Eric Jimenez, said, "Hey Mark, I can relate to being called fat by Rip. I worked with him a couple of years." Tell you what, Rip.
Eric Jimenez. Well,
Eric Jimenez.
He was. Let's say he was a little bit overweight,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was always posing for me. Let me do the swinging 3/4 back. Here's my most muscular. Yeah, there's a hell of a rib.
And then he hit you with the fat spread.
Fat spread.
We're still waiting on Eric Jimenez and T Weasel to have the pose off.
Yeah, waiting on the pose down.
It's not happened yet. But
I can see them both oiled up in bikini briefs. One wearing pink and one powder blue.
I got to ask you if this is one of your highlights going back to OVW. I don't know if you can read this or not, but it was OVW Lafayette show, July 2003. Ben Woods, Mark Henry, and Rob Begley, who went on to be Vic Delicious, I think, against Bam Bam Pender's Horseshoe and Von Lilas. Was that one of the highlights of your going back to OVW wrestling?
Hey, without that match, I would have never knew I was riding.
Man.
That's classic.
It was like, hey, Mark, you might want to graduate from these matches and have some singles. Sorry, Vaughn.
Big 6-man against Von Lilas in 2003, Lafayette, Indiana. Don't get no better than that.
Delicious, man. I ain't heard that name in years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! But you know who I get to see all the time is Pat Buck. I remember his first day in Louisville.
Oh, really?
And he got there. Him and the other kid from Ithaca, New York. I'm trying to think of his name.
Well, that was Vic Delicious. That was
Vic Delicious.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a dime. They had spent all their money on food and gas to get there from New York. And I would take them out to eat every day till they got some money.
Oh, that was nice.
Hey, Golden Corral, man. I learned from Rip.
Holy shit.
Go get you a Ziploc bag, brother, because we go in the Golden Corral. You get
We're shooting for 10 chicken breasts in there on the way out.
Speaking of Pat Buck and AEW, we should probably at least mention AEW while you're on the show. How are things going in AEW for you?
You know what, man? AEW is one of the best things that happened to wrestling since WCW, WWE wars. It gives a lot of other talent that are not WWE talent a place to go and live and work and support their families and experience in getting to the top and working with people that are really good. For your money. He is a young guy, 24, 25 years old or whatever, but MJF is wise beyond his years. You could tell he's a student of wrestling, that he loved wrestling more than anything else. And when people like him have trouble with relationships, have trouble with friendships and all of that, because everybody else got to play second to wrestling. He loved wrestling, man.
Yeah.
Like, and I see him say and do things that I'm like, how old is he? Like, it just blows your mind. You know, like he was just meant to do it. And I think that all those people being around him is going to be really helpful for him.
What's your role right now with AEW? What are you doing there?
Man, hustle and bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, no, man, I mentor. I teach the stuff that I was taught. And I give people more. I think I'm more on the creative and development side of a character than the coaching. Other people teach them how to do it. And like Rip did with us, I teach you where to do it. I teach you when to do it and why you do it. And those are things that, man, like I'm blessed to be able to know these things because I like reading and I like studying, and I don't like losing. So when I say losing, I mean like not losing, losing a match. I'm talking about success.
Yeah.
And I knew the only way that I was going to have success. The missus calling. She must think I'm at a strip joint or something.
For an hour.
Yeah, I've been by myself an hour.
Oh,
But I love the fact that I'm able to teach what I learned in wrestling because it's been such a gift to me, and everybody is not going to get the opportunity to teach, even though there's people that know what they're doing. They just take other career choices and go other direction. My whole deal is I want to share as much as I've learned before I'm gone. And a lot of people don't subscribe to that because they're not as morbid as I am. Like I just have come to grips that we're not meant to be here forever. And while you're here, why are you going to take to the grave shit that's gave you a level of success that somebody else might be able to use and have a good life? So I'm just trying to share the knowledge, man.
That's cool.
When you're trying to help when you're sitting there going, I know this and this guy needs help, you tell him because you want to help him. And if you don't help him, you feel you beat yourself up for not saying it because you've seen the thing that he needed to work on. And you can't be concerned with his attitude. I'm going to show you this. And I said, study it, do it, try it. And if I think it'll help you, I think it'll help you out with longevity, being safer, or knowing what to do socially in the locker room, etc. You got to remember, I broke into business and wasn't even smart. So you can imagine, at least I was smart enough to just shut the fuck up and keep my eyes and my ears open, because I was in here I am with all these carny old guys and I didn't know anything. So they would rib me, take my trunks and stuff and put them on the chandelier. They would fuck with me, they'd set me up with girls. It was all the fucking rib and stuff. I was a total fucking mark, and I just laughed at it. I said, well, hell, hopefully I won't get fooled with that one
Again.
time. But, and then when you're sitting back and you're looking at everything clearly, you can see all these things in little guys. And you say, no, he needs help with this. He needs help with this. And I'm going to tell him.
Yeah.
And then I'll feel better by myself.
Yeah.
Hey, we're on, hell, I'm 69 years old. If I make goddamn 70 in fucking February, I'm on the last legs of life. I'm into goddamn overtime right now. I know that. Shit happens, and then I'm fucking gone. Then I'm a hell of a fucking rib. You can rib me later.
11 bell salute, 9 bell salute.
Yeah, give me the 9 bell. So everybody stop. What the fuck was a 9? That'd be a good rib. So what the fuck, right?
That's what he always says. He wants like the 9 bell salute. Everybody just waits on that 10th one.
Yeah.
Hey, Rib, if I go before you, I get the 9 bell. If you go before me, I'll make sure that they fucking do 9 bells.
Okay. Oh shit.
Hey, you just tell us when you got to get off here, man.
Hey, man, my wife just called. If I don't call back in the next 30 minutes, she might come looking for my ass.
All right. Well, just whenever you're.
Yeah, all you gotta do is say, "Hey, the bitch is going." My wife's going crazy now. She thinks I'm practicing, or somebody's practicing on my grip right now. So I don't know what the hell. Right?
Hey, we do have a super chat though. Did Rip ever have you wrestle as a tiny woman? What I think he means by that is Rip always in class talks about having a guy wrestle as a girl wrestle as a guy, a giant wrestle as a little guy wrestles a giant in class, so they know. Did he ever have you do anything in class that you remember where you were not the world's strongest man?
Yes. He would say, I want you to be anybody but you.
Oh, yeah.
And Like that was that stuff that I was saying about thinking outside the box and being able to take your mind away from you and coming up with something where you can act out. A lot of coaches don't do that. I never had no other coach do that. That was Rip was the only one that, was like, hey, your thinking has got to be different. And that's why so many of Rip's students are successful, because they're able to get out of themselves and be able to do other things. It's just the way it is. Some people accidentally find out, Savage, I'm sure that he didn't always think, oh, I'm going to be the Macho Man. Like, he just figured it out. But he also comes from wrestling. Yeah. So, like, he had a leg up on it. Like my son. If my son was on this show with me, he's at school right now. If he was on this show talking to you, you would think that he wrestled for 20 years.
Right.
Because his understanding of wrestling is, he had me. So him having me means he had Tom Pritchard, right. He had Dory Funk, he had Rip Rogers, he had
Leo Burke,
Hart and Bret Hart. He had Leo Burke, like Jim Cornette and Danny Davis. Like he had everybody that I had. So why wouldn't he be great? It's the same thing as The Rock. Dwayne would, when I first started, Dwayne didn't come till 8 months later. And I had been learning all this shit, doing drop downs and, leapfrogs and locking up and how to run the ropes and taking bumps and all of this stuff. This motherfucker haven't wrestled ever in his life. He came the first day and could do everything. I mean, he could do any. Dwayne and Tom Pritchard, they probably went 5 minutes of doing, like, Tom was just calling it to him as he went. And I'm sitting there with my arms folded like, this your first day?
Doesn't seem fair, does it?
Hell no, it wasn't fair. And Dwayne would say, man, I used to play with my cousins. I wrestled a bunch. Growing up, I just never practiced before. He's like, man, it's fun, man. Like, and then he started bragging on himself. You see that? You see my leapfrog? That's the way my dad used to leapfrog.
Well, I gotta say,
he copied everything he saw.
Of having Rocky as his dad, Dwayne was so full of shit because he got the full of shit genes. It's awesome.
Yep, he got it. He got it.
100%. Did you know who he was when he got there?
No, like, he was nobody.
Yeah.
Dwayne played Canadian football.
Right.
Like, he was a good football player in college, but he wasn't a historically great football player in college.
I just meant more like if you knew Rocky Johnson and knew it was Rocky.
No, I knew who Rocky Johnson was, but I didn't know that was his dad.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess that's what I meant. Yeah.
When he came, he didn't talk about it. He didn't talk about it.
Oh, really?
No.
Where was this at? Was this in the warehouse or whatever they talk about?
That was at the warehouse in Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
And
who else was there?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Nobody. It was me and him.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
And I mean, when you start a developmental franchise, and the first two people you start with is Mark Henry and Dwayne Johnson, you fucking made some pretty good choices in the beginning. Two bona fide Hall of Fame guys that developed over time too. It's not like we got to a point and then we just stayed there and hovered out. Man, I went up and went down and went up and went down. And then when I started going up that last run after I left Louisville in 2002 after healing up from injury, shit, like it was, the rest was history.
Did you ever think about quitting on those ups and downs?
Yes. I almost quit in 2007.
Oh, really?
When my shoulder dislocated and I popped it back in on TV. I did like Mel Gibson. I ran my shoulder into the turnbuckle, popped it back in against Benoit, and we were headed toward the main event at WrestleMania. That was the first time that I was going to be in a WrestleMania main event. And I had to have surgery on my shoulder. And I remember being at home going, man, I'm done with this shit. I keep getting hurt. Like, it's never going to get better than this. Like, yeah, I mean, and I remember Benoit calling me, checking on me, and him saying, man, you good? Like, how long is it going to be before you start training? How long did they say before you can start back wrestling again? And I was like, man, I think I'm done. He was like, bullshit. He said, you better get your ass back here. We got unfinished business. And I was like, man, I just keep getting hurt. Like, I've been snake bit the last 2 years. He was like, it don't matter. It don't matter. He was like, you get yourself back. He said, if you don't, I'm coming to your house. And I said, man, I appreciate, and it kind of made me get out of my funk, like that woe is me, feeling sorry for myself and all that shit. And I went in there and I started back working again, got my shit together. And man, it was the best thing that ever happened.
Wow. So we do have a question about the big OVW class. Everybody talks about Cena, Orton, Batista, Shelton Benjamin, Brock Lesnar. Surely you're not probably going to say who was the best, but you got any comments on that class that people talk about? The longevity, I guess, just any of it.
Man, I told you I thought was the best. I thought Nick Dinsmore was the best in Ohio Valley.
Yeah.
I think potentially, I thought Robbie Dix would have been the best. He had no fear. He was one of the best athletes I ever saw in my life, and he loved wrestling.
Was that?
That's Slick Robbie Dix.
Slick Robbie
Slick Robbie Dix.
Okay, yeah.
And he died, didn't materialize, didn't make it. But as far as like what these guys became, I mean, you can't pick one. Like, I think Randy Orton and John Cena are probably the cream of the crop. Money wise and longevity wise, who they became. Me and Big Show did really, really well. Mickey James did really well. I mean, CM Punk just went back to WWE, and 71 million people replayed him coming out.
Oh yeah,
more impressions than any wrestling thing that ever happened by 30 million.
Until this show comes out.
Until this show comes out. I better call the missus back, so I'm gonna have to sign off.
All right, it sounds good. I would love to ask you one last question about your fake retirement in the suit, in the iconic salmon jacket. When you did the slam on Cena or whatever you did, that God, I thought that was awesome, man. I just
I think that's the one that they'll talk about when I'm gone.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
And I knew that I was doing this interview with y'all, and I felt like it was at some point I was going to have to do it. So I got the salmon jacket right here, as Brodus Clay would call it, the lion ass jacket.
That is awesome.
But I just wanted to, show that to y'all on y'all fan base.
Man, I'm glad you had that
It
ready.
means a lot to me.
It's almost like we had that pre-planned, and we didn't have it pre-planned at all.
No, well, I'm a preemptive striker.
You're good, man.
You know, I knew I was doing this show, and I love Rip to death, and that's probably the first time I probably ever said that.
I like a younger, more attractive man, but what the hell, right? You are big and bulky, but you know, you've lost all that weight. You're young, shredded, young, tan, and vascular. Don't get any better than that.
Well, thanks, man, for coming on here. Really appreciate it.
Oh, man, that's so good.
You never even said your first impression of Rip, like meeting him or whatever. Do you remember meeting this guy?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember, like, did he say anything to you? Do you remember meeting him? Like,
I just
Rip
remember.
usually says,
I just remember
Rip
was ready to
told me.
He said, ready to beat my ass.
You are. He said, I know who Janet Terry Todd is. He just went into this about 5-minute, you know, episodic introduction of himself, and told me how much that I needed to learn, and that I hope that you don't have a ego that's fragile, because he's like, you know, like you're gonna want to leave here. And I was like, I doubt it.
That's awesome.
Wow. Gee whiz.
Well, thanks for coming on, man.
What a long road, man.
Yeah.
What a long road. It is 2024. And the first time I met Rip was in 99, the beginning of 2000. It's a lot of people don't have relationships with nobody that long.
Well, you know how life is. Everybody you're close to, they just die off. You know, what the hell, right? So as long as we're kicking, we're fine.
Hey, we still here.
Huh? Yeah. I'm getting my Mark Henry beard. I'm letting the beard grow out a little bit now.
Go ahead, but you've been great for
my
15
hair.
years.
My hair's white, you know.
No shit.
But it's like Donald Trump. It gets wet. It looks like I got about 4 hairs in there total. So, but I ain't a political man. So what the fuck, right?
Hey, Vaughn.
Yo,
keep taking care of that guy, man.
I'll do my best. It's tough, man.
I know it's tough sometimes, and you feel like ending it all, but stay strong.
All right, I appreciate it.
I can't thank you enough for coming on here. This is the most fun I've ever had on this son of a bitch. Now tell your old lady I'm pissed at her because she interrupted our thing, you know, and I was trying to.
Oh, I'm going to tell her right now. I swear
I was trying to.
Let him. Go ahead.
Hold on a second.
Uh-oh. All right. Uh-oh. Here we go.
She's live now.
Live on YouTube.
Live on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen.
She's going to cuss him out right away.
She's going to cuss him out right away. It's going to be awesome.
Automatic voice message system.
Now she's kayfabing me. She's pissed. She's kayfabing me. It's
put him to voicemail, man.
Straight to voicemail.
She's at the male strip club right now.
She got that at home.
She's got that at home. Sexual chocolate, baby.
Sexual chocolate, all oiled up. Well, she's still hot because you have.
Hey, in January, I'm doing. They're doing a big spread. Well, not really a spread, but they're doing an article in Men's Health magazine. And this is my first time doing Men's Health, and it's like a body issue. So you're gonna get to see.
Are you going? Oh, is it going to be the naked thing?
Not naked, but you know, it's scantily clad.
Okay, very scantily clad. Okay, well, that's why you're on that super diet. I know what it is. You're going to come in there about 293.
Ooh, not that low.
Not that low. The sloping trapezius, the sign of raw power, the horseshoe tricep, the baseball bicep, the armor-plated pectoralis majors and minor, the bicep femoris, semimendinosus, semitendinosus, and the list goes on and on. The human anatomy chart, Mr. Mark Henry.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Okay. But if you just get it down for one session, right, then it's there forever.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, I went from the world's strongest man to big fat bastard. Now I'm shredded. Now I'm Angelo Cicilline. I'm Charles Atlas. I'm Mr. Universe.
I can't even dream about looking like that.
So Rip did say you're dropping some pounds and stuff, man. Is that got that going?
Yeah, I'm about 325.
Nice.
Which is no reason for me. I'm gonna try to get down to 300.
You're gonna dunk again, ain't you?
No.
No.
Hey, I could probably jump up there, but it's the coming down that's gonna be the problem. Blow
So
both ACLs and tear both Achilles at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be 6'5", now I'm about 6'3". I've shrunk a couple inches, but used to be able to dunk pretty easy, and now it's like there is no way I could even touch the rim now. I don't think, and I'm not 300 pounds. Well, close.
How much you weigh?
About 237.
Hey, Vaughn, here she is.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm finishing up the interview. I told him that you called, and I had to get off the phone. I had to get off the show.
You had to get off because our poor son, bless his heart, I said he can't even swallow spit because he's just hit 285.
Good.
But he got on the bike, Mark, with your sweat the fat off suit on. He's like, Mom, he's like, if I'm not 285, he just weighed in at 285.
So my son is wrestling, and he's normally about 280, 285. Yeah. But for football, he gains weights and gets up to 300 pounds. So he had to go down in a week and a half from
a week.
So it's been a week. He had to go down from 305 to 285, and he's just now hit 285 today.
Oh, nice.
So he'll wrestle tonight, and I was thinking about driving up there, but he told me not to come.
He just got to make weigh-in, right? Then he
got to make weight, and it's only one day. Yeah. So as soon as he weighs in, he can eat.
Yeah.
But we got to just reel him back in, like off the football diet, but he will now.
Yeah, he eat McDonald's and Qdoba and like, Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A more. Chick-fil-A and
Chipotle, same thing. So we got to stop him from eating bullshit and eating real food and, keeping his weight right. Yeah. So, but I'm on with Rip and Von Lilas, and we finna close. We closing it out.
Do your thing. I just want you to know he finally hit weight, but it was not easy.
I know it.
He called me, wanted me to tell you.
All right, thank you.
Love you, bye. Enjoy. Thank God for Rip Rogers, right?
Thank
God.
Yeah.
He just changed your whole trajectory.
I was just saying it. Yeah. Yeah, but he he's shift the heat. He don't want to hear it. Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'll hit you later. Bye. But like that dude right there, Rip, he gonna be the best that we may have ever seen. You watch.
In wrestling or football or both?
Wrestling and pro wrestling. He understands it.
Oh, pro wrestling.
The only person that I talk to that's like a young person that understands wrestling like that was Tyson Kidd and MJF. He fucking gets it.
What grade's he in?
He's a senior. He's in the 12th grade.
So how's he doing in wrestling in school?
Oh, he won state last year in heavyweight. And he went to nationals. And matter of fact, the kid that was from Indiana, that was ranked number 12 in the country, Jacob beat him, and he beat the number 9 guy from Delaware. And then he had to withdraw from the competition. So he'll be ranked in the top 10 in the country in amateur wrestling this year too, and he'll win state running away. But like all he wants to do is be a pro wrestler.
You're cool with that, I guess, right?
Yeah, because he's not ever going to be average. Like, he's not going to be a guy that comes in and is a journey. Like I told him, go in and make a name for yourself somewhere else before you come into wrestling. I'm not going to help you get into the business to go be average. You got to do better than me.
Yeah. Now, I've got to ask, you kind of put the phone down where we couldn't hear it. I feel like your wife was maybe giving a compliment to Rip Rogers. Was there something?
Well, she knows how valuable he was in my development. You know, like when I was we've been together for 26 years. And when I went to Louisville, like I would tell her what I was learning and how crazy Rip was. And I was like, she's like crazy, bad crazy. I said, no, like, it's funny to me. He entertaining this shit. I was like, but like the stuff that I'm learning, nobody never taught me. And so she knows the journey. She knows everything that I went through because I used to explain it to her because she asked a million damn questions.
Wow.
Well,
it's good to be appreciated.
Yeah, just send money, you know.
Got the check.
Huh? Yeah. Oh,
the hell with the compliment. Cut the check.
Yeah. Oh.
Man.
Say, hey, I didn't know. Did he even ask you having on here? I didn't know if you had to ask Tony Khan about doing podcasts or I didn't know what the protocol was.
No, I'm Mark Henry, man.
Okay.
I was Mark Henry before WWE, and I was Mark Henry before AEW, and I'm gonna be Mark Henry afterwards.
Hey,
that's awesome.
Hey, having you on here is just such a big deal. Could you talk to some of the guys on the kayfabe side and see if they'd be on the program and just talk?
Oh yeah,
tell stories.
Ain't no doubt.
Anybody,
hey, and your tag team, the guys that you talk like shit.
Oh, the Outrunners.
Yeah, man, I love them dudes, and I knew they was, and I pushed for them to get signed. I was like, y'all got to sign them, man. Look how hard they work, and they willing to do anything. And how many tag teams do we have that's like that? And they said nobody. And man, it was probably 2 weeks later they were signed. Like you know quality work when you see it, and they do the Rip Rogers attack.
Yeah, it's all a rib.
We're big fans of the Outrunners on this show, man.
No matter what I call them, Turbo and Floyd.
Turbo and Floyd.
Turbo and Floyd.
No matter what. Oh shit.
I mean that Shiloh or whichever the other one, Truth Magnum, I guess.
Magnum, yeah. I just call him.
I mean, hell, he came down to OVW with Rip from
midget school
from
Oregon.
Buddy Wayne, Nick Wayne's
dad. Yeah.
And that was like 2007, I think it was. I mean, he's been at this for quite a while, so it's awesome to.
So that's who I'm going to call next and get clearance for. Is Buddy Wayne's kid. Good boy, wants to be great in wrestling, and I think that he would be a good interview.
Yeah, his mother was going to get on here one time. Nick Wayne's mother.
Nick Wayne's mom.
Nick Wayne's mom, and she's. You might want to just have both of them on. She's a good woman, man.
Rip knows him. Rip's a Buddy Wayne. You guys.
Yeah, I did seminars up at after Midget passed away. I did seminars up there and stayed at their house and everything. And then at one time, I remember Nick started in the ring. He's about 6 years old or something, something like that. So, yeah, we know he eats all day and is skinnier and shit because he's at that age.
Yeah, he's at that age. It's coming.
Yeah, it's just going to take a while.
Yeah, but he's good, man.
All he wanted to do was the wrestling business. He didn't give a shit about anything else. He wanted to quit. I remember he kept wanting to quit high school.
Quit high.
Yeah.
You mentioned MJF a couple times. Who else in AEW's caught your eye?
Man, it's a bunch of them. The one that I kind of, she's gone now, but Jade Cargill, she's over at WWE now. But like Julia Hart, the girl Julia Hart.
Yeah, I like her a lot.
She started, the light switch came on.
Yeah.
You can see somebody walking in the dark, and then all of a sudden, like, it's like now she knows how to wrestle. It just triggered. And Ricky Starks is tremendous entertainer. I feel like there's a lot that Wardlow can get back going. Will Hobbs is, he's my wrestling son.
Yeah.
So everything that I tell him to do, he do it the first time I tell him. He the only person I ever known like that. Like, I ain't got to tell that motherfucker twice, nothing. Like, he just wants to be good. And, Daniel Garcia, man, like, that dude he an entertainer. He love wrestling. Every time you see him, he on his phone and he watching a match from 1987. Something like, he just love wrestling, and people that's like that, I don't worry about them making it. I know they're gonna make it. They can't help but make it.
That's cool. You got anything else, Ripper?
I'm just sitting here enjoying the times. You know what I mean? Going down memory lane, talking about all this shit that I haven't thought about in years and years, and then sad that it's ending today. Then I gotta go back and go to Dollar Tree and get my mashed potatoes and my baked beans. What I'm going to eat for today.
You know what I do to him? I give him the world's smallest violin.
Yeah, but he's sitting here at the Lilas mansion. He don't even have to work. He's got his own gym in the garage, hanging out, being tall.
No, I never did that. I never did that at any house I ever owned. I never had a gym at my house.
Well, I tell you, I did it when COVID hit, and then I've never went back.
Well, I had a bunch of dumbbells and weight poles and stuff like that, and the kids would work out in the back.
Uh-huh.
And I had a sledgehammer, and we would go pound dirt. I don't know if y'all ever did that type of training.
No.
But like, there were people that used to cut wood and stuff that.
You'd be cutting the trees with the axe just to fucking get the fucking
go get to work.
That's what you see all the time in the old boxing training.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be the black and white movies about boxing. They'd be training. It'd always be sawing the trees down or chopping with the axe and everything.
Yeah, and I bought these heavy-duty beach towels, and you can do this for your grip. And these heavy-duty beach towels, you throw them over a limb or you throw it over something to support your weight, and you do pull-up with that, holding that towel. And then you really want to make it hard, wet the fucking towel. And then you throw it over, and you squeeze it in, water's going down your arms, and you slip in and stuff. Man, like, when you start working fine motor skills, that's my expertise, man. I love my kids. I feel sorry for some of these kids that Jacob wrestle, because when he puts his hands on them, they feel it. I mean, it's visible to see him. If he has somebody on the rear, and he's trying to take them down, I'm like, Jacob, this part of your forearm is probably about as hard a part of your body as you have. Put it behind their neck and rub their face down into the ground. And when you do that, you see their arms go, and hook that arm. It's over. Good night. Y'all have a safe trip home. We play dirty at the Henry house.
Oh. Well, somebody got to, right? What the hell?
About them wins, Rip. I want to win.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
And I guarantee you, when Jacob get into wrestling, the world need to look out.
Is he going to wrestle in college, or is he going to go right to start training?
Bro, he told me the other day that I think I'm going to go and wrestle in college and not play football. And we are going to visit a big national power school on December 9th. And they've made an offer. If he accepts, he'll be the one to make the announcement. But
Oklahoma, Iowa State,
you're not getting it out of him.
I know I ain't going to get it out of him. But
I'm doing my best to keep all of it under wraps and so he can make his announcement. But if you look at his social media, he's the Jacob T. Henry, and on social media.
Jacob T. Henry.
Or you can go on mine, the Mark Henry. And for all the people that are fans that want to find out how to book me or how to
plug plug anything you want.
Man, you're so bad at that.
Now I'm doing
your job.
What the hell, right?
I'm doing my plug gimmick. You can go on my website now. My website is active. Is themarkhenry.com. And it's going to have there's going to be the Mark Henry show on there. We'll be doing this again, except I'll be asking the questions.
All right.
Have you got any of your porn you did in there in the website? Is that extra?
Please don't tell people. People will believe that. People will believe it.
The Mark Henry just OnlyFans or whatever it is, Man,
I'm going to do an OnlyFans, but I'm only going to show my elbow.
Oh.
Tell them about your OnlyFans idea.
Like, hey, man, check out these elbows, guys.
I want to go into just OnlyFans. I'll be the masked grandpa with the with the mask on, just doing chicks and pulling my teeth out and going. But I got the mask. The masked grandpa, ladies and gentlemen. I got to make some I got to make some money, baby. Got to make some jack.
That's why I love Rip, man. Rip crazy, man. Oh my God. I think I just peed on myself. Oh.
All right. We just did 2 hours and talked about almost no wrestling.
Oh well, what the hell, right?
Hey, that's the best part, though.
Memory lane.
That's the best part.
Fans might not like it, but we like it, so that's what we usually do. We don't talk much about wrestling. I wanted to know about the grip and the old school training and the Arnold and stuff like that. So,
well,
I got my fix in on that.
Well, that means we got Mark Henry part 127 whenever he wants to come back on. Hey, you always got what is it? You got free reign to come whenever you want to. Or
I'm sure he's fine. Green light to come on anytime. I'm sure he'll be sitting there one day thinking, man, I'd love to get back on that show again.
Yeah.
And let me call Rip and Lilas and see what's going on.
Yeah. And then after I talk to them, I'll really appreciate the life I got now. Watch. I said, watch this next video that's coming up on your screen. Remember now, watch it.
That I can't get the shit closed.